Okay, and next I would like to share today's inspirational reading. And it is from Steve Jobs. He says, "Your time is limited. Don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living the result of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinion drown your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary." And so it is.
Sounded really funny. So if you have just arrived, the theme for the month of December is happiness and fulfillment. And my talk title today is The Will to Live. The Will to Live. Now, in psychology, the will to live is the drive for self-preservation. And it is usually coupled with an expectation for future improvement. The will to live is an important concept when attempting to understand and comprehend why we do what we do in order to stay alive. Now, this can relate to either one's push for survival when they're on the brink of death, or perhaps someone who is just trying to find a meaning in their life that would allow them to continue to live their life. There are significant correlations between the will to live and existential, psychological, social, and physical sources of distress. Every day, I'm sure you'll agree with me, every day people go through countless experiences. And some of them they may describe as difficult or negative or dreadful or even tragic. Some researchers say that people who have a purpose or a reason to live in their life will go through these types of experience and will, in all probability, fare better than other people who move through such experiences and experience them as overwhelming. Now, self-preservation, or the will to live, is a behavior that ensures the survival of an individual. Pain and fear are very integral parts of this mechanism. Pain motivates the individual to withdraw themselves from this situation, or it could also be to protect, like, say, a damaged body part as it heals. Pain also motivates us to avoid similar experiences in the future. Fear, on the other hand, causes an individual to seek safety. And it may also cause a release of adrenaline within our body, which actually increases our strength, and it heightens our perceptions, our perception, human perceptions of sense, like hearing and seeing and smelling. Now, this is true not only for human beings, but also for all organisms that exist on the planet. The will to live is therefore a very universal hallmark of life. Psychologists, medical doctors, psychiatrists, and ministers alike often encounter people in their offices or in the hospital or in their congregations that are moving through or experiencing difficult situations that might involve the physical or the mental, their emotional, or their spiritual health. Now, while the will to live is a force that is within us, that allows us to fight for our survival when there is something that is challenging that, whether that something is something that is within us or something that is surrounding us, many people actually lose the will to live. While researchers point to a myriad of reasons for that, the ongoing question that continues is, what keeps the will to live alive within us during these kinds of situations? What keeps that will to live alive? Oncologist Dr. Ernest Rosenbaum says, of all the ingredients in the will to live, hope is the most vital. A person who lacks hope can give up on life and lose their will to live. The definition of hope includes the feeling of wanting something to happen and thinking that it could happen. It's really an optimistic attitude of our mind that is really based on the expectation of positive outcomes. Neale Donald Walsch says, hope is a wonderful energy, and it is my wish that you never abandon it, for it produces, initiates, and sponsors all sorts of positive actions, choices, and decisions, and generates enthusiasm and excitement along the way. So hope energetically vibrates at a higher level than many of the other feelings that we could be feeling at any given moment, such as fear or despair or hopelessness or worry or doubt. Now, because of this, the energy of hope actually draws unto itself experiences that vibrate at a higher level than the one that we might be going through in that moment. So hope can be a really wonderful thing. And yet, I'm going to tell you, I'll tell you the truth. I'm just going to come straight out and say it. I'll just out myself is like, I'm not a fan of hope. I think, I think it's a good thing. It's way better to be in hope than to be in despair or, anger or many of the other things like that we could feel. But I'm not a huge fan of it. I think it's kind of wishy-washy. And I'll explain that. So this idea of hope, within it, inherent within it, is an acknowledgement that there is a high possibility that something that we want to happen actually might not happen. There's a high degree of probability just that's inherent in this idea of hope. There is no sense of assurance that it will happen, only a sense of optimism that it could happen, but no sense of assurance. In hoping, we're standing in the energy of wondering if that thing that I really want to happen is actually going to happen. Are you with me? Neale Donald Walsch says, if we were sure it was going to happen, we would have no need to hope that it will. If we were sure that something is so, we would not need to hope that it is so. So, in actuality, while hope is a very effective energy, it's one of the weakest energies in this idea of the will to live. And while it is a very useful energy, there are stronger energies that we have available to us. Now, a stronger energy for me is the energy of faith. The definition of faith includes a strong or unshakable belief in something, a complete confidence and trust in a person, a doctrine, a remedy, or in God. It is a belief that is not based on proof or evidence. It is a mental acceptance of the truth or the actuality of something. Energetically, it is a higher vibration than hope. It is a more powerful vibration than hope. It moves us from wondering whether something will occur or thinking that it could happen to a space of believing, trusting, and really feeling sure that it will happen. With faith, we cross this imaginary line of doubt. We're no longer in that space of doubt. Now, an even stronger energy for me would be the energy of knowing. Shannon Plummer talked about knowing last Sunday. In knowing, there is unwavering joy, unconditioned love, complete peace, sacred serenity, and a very palpable tranquility. Just say it to yourself, I know. And whatever follows after that, it's like solidified in your mind. This place is not about hoping or believing or feeling sure. It's about being positive. I know that I know that I know. You're coming from a place in which you really know who you are and whose you are. It's all about knowing that right where we are, God is as wholeness, as peace, as joy, as creativity, as wisdom, and as abundance. It's about knowing that we're not alone as we move through these challenges in our lives. It's about knowing that there is a power and presence that is greater than we are, and that we can lean into it and that we can use it. It is about knowing that all of the outcomes in the physical world are co-created, that all of the outcomes in the physical world are collaboratively manifested, that all of the outcomes in the physical world are jointly produced to serve exactly the agenda of each and every soul, in every situation, in every moment, in every place on the planet. Just outside of the sanctuary, there is a rose bush. Now, while I took this photo on Sunday, December 16th, the rose was still present on Wednesday, December 19th, this last Wednesday. She gone today. Now, the first thing I noticed was the sheer beauty of it. I mean, it is really absolutely gorgeous, yes? Beautiful. The second thought that came to me was about this idea of the will to live. When I thought about that and I thought about this rose, I was in awe. Clearly, no one mentioned to this rose that it was December. No one mentioned to this rose that we had already experienced temperatures that were below freezing, and if they did, then clearly the rose didn't care. It had a different idea. It had the will to live despite the conditions that surround it. This brought me to my third thought, and that is about the Bible verse, "Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, nor do they spin." Now this verse is from Matthew 6, verse 28, which is part of what is called the Sermon on the Mount. The Sermon on the Mount contains what are called the Beatitudes. The Beatitudes are a prose poem which contains 8 verses, and basically it's a summary of all of the teachings of Jesus. All of the Beatitudes begin with the word blessed. Now, this is a very important word, which means to confer prosperity upon or to enrich. What Jesus is actually saying within each one of the verses of the Beatitudes is that you will experience this if you condition your mind. You will experience this if you fully embody and practice the Beatitudes in your everyday life. Now, this is why I like to think of them as the Be-attitudes. How am I to be in order to experience the kingdom of heaven on earth? Not what do I need to do, but who am I to be? To me, what Jesus is saying is, do not be anxious. Do not worry. Do not be afraid. The birds and the flowers, they do not worry. They have everything they need within them to be exactly who they came here to be. And if they need any kind of support in that, they are supported by the Creator that created them. Now, the Creator that created them and supports them is the same Creator that created each one of us. And it will be that same Creator that supports us through everything. Can we really, if you think about it, can we really think that it would be any different for any one of us? That the Creator would support us any differently than it supports the flowers or the birds? No. The law, the love, works in the same way all of the time for everyone and everything, no matter what. Always. It is said that it is God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom of heaven. What Jesus is saying is that everything that we could ever want or need or desire is already within us if we would first seek the kingdom, if we would first get ourselves into alignment with the only power that there is. Jesus says that we need to worry less and have more faith in God, in love, and in the law. The will to live depends upon our rediscovery of who we are, upon our rediscovery of why we came here and who we came here to be, the rediscovery of what we wanted to experience when we said yes to this incarnation, of what we want to express in our own unique way. To remember that which created us lives within us always and forever, and that we are simply allowing it to express itself through and as us. The will to live, however, doesn't mean the will to just survive. The will to live can also mean the will to live our greatest life, to raise ourselves up, to live our purpose, to experience our highest and best. Questions that we could ask ourselves could include, how do I feel about my life today? Do I love what I'm doing? Am I living every day in joy and excitement? Am I looking forward to what's coming next? Am I living my highest and best? Now, if the answer to any one of these questions is no, or maybe, or I'm not sure, then in all probability, we're not living our highest and best. We're not living our lives to the fullest. So, who do we have to be? And what do we have to do in order to live our lives to the fullest? In order to be all that we came here to be? Now, as always, I have a few practical ideas. Our teaching has a few ideas for each of us to step into. And the first is to know who you are. To know who you are and what you represent. Be clear of your authentic personal identity and be true to who you are. Stop trying to please other people. Stop trying to be someone else. It is far better to be an original version of yourself, no matter where on the path you are, than to try to be an exact replica of somebody else. The truth is that you matter immensely. Every one of you. You matter immensely. There is absolutely no one else on the planet that has your unique combination of gifts and qualities and purpose. No one. No one else to bring that particular combination into form except you. Really begin from this moment on to believe, speak, and act as though you matter, because you do. You do. You're part of a whole. Be your best self, yourself with a capital S. Who you are as a child of God, created in its image and likeness. It is by being your best self that you powerfully step into really living fully, really living your highest and best. Discover your life's purpose and live in alignment with that purpose. Discover what it is that you could do right now, what it is that you could do immediately that would allow you to get yourself into alignment with who you are and with what you came here to be and to do. Discover your passion in life. What really sets you on fire? What floats your boat or twirls your skirt? Do the inner work to discover what you really love to do, and then do the things that you love, because life is far too precious to be doing anything else. Recognize that you are 100% responsible for your life. 100%. Excuses, blame, and rationalizing may feel good in the moment, but they will not change the game. You cannot change your life and step into your highest and best until you are willing to accept 100% responsibility. Taking responsibility means taking your power back to where it belongs. Within you, not out there within someone else or within some other organization or anything, but within you. Live every day on a fresh start. Don't be held back by what happened yesterday, the day before, the week before, the year before. Be willing to let go of the past to make room for the new. Live in the moment, forget the past, and don't worry about the future. That rose didn't worry about it. It says, what? I'm going to shine today. Live more consciously each and every moment of each and every day. Stop sleepwalking through life. We were really meant to really experience life, and not to just coast through it, but to really just experience it. It's the way that God experiences. That's on us to be that. If you create the experiences of your life, which I believe that you do, then the invitation is to create your ideal life. Create it first in your consciousness, and then put on the coat of someone who is already living that life and live yourself into it. Affirm yourself into it. Intend yourself into it. Speak and act from that context, from that mental equivalent of the life that you want to live. Focus on what you want first before you think about how to do it. We live in a universe of unlimited possibilities. Anything is possible as long as you keep your mind, your heart, and your soul focused on it. You have everything that you need within you. Keep the what in consciousness and leave the how to the universe. Stop putting your life on hold. You know what I'm talking about. Stop putting your life on hold. Don't wait for this to happen or for that to be some other way in order to really begin to live your life. Live it now. Live every day as if it were your last, and embrace every experience, as Bob Simon would say, as if it was the first time. The first time. The first cup of tea, not the 10,000th cup of tea. The first I love you. Can you imagine how wonderful that would be? Be positive. Life is a matter of perception. Choose to take on perceptions that really empower you, not those that bind you. We have a choice in the matter. We have authority over our thoughts. So choose those thoughts that empower you. If you can see the positive side of everything, you will be able to live a much richer life. Embrace change. The only thing that is constant is change. Change means growth. Learn to embrace rather than to resist change so that you can make the most of the changes that occur, because they're going to happen. So if you want to be able to make the most of them, then just embrace them. Let go of attachments. Don't get fixated with achieving fame or status or wealth or material possessions. They're all impermanent. Focus on growing and living life to the fullest instead. Keep learning. There is something to learn through everything that we see or hear or experience. Keep developing yourself. Get out of your comfort zone and be willing to learn something new. Learn different skills. Pick up different hobbies. Study different fields. Keep growing. Stop expecting others to behave in a certain way. They're not going to. Rather than demanding others to change, focus on changing yourself. You'll be much happier and you'll live a more fulfilling life. I promise you that. Declutter. People are in the midst of it now. Declutter. When you throw away unwanted stuff, you make room for new things and for new energy that allow you to step into your highest and best. Challenge your fears. Fears keep us imprisoned. They keep us stuck. They keep us from growing. Rather than avoid your fears, recognize that they are actually compasses for growth, that you can use those fears to grow. Practice gratitude and express it everywhere. Be grateful for what you have today and for everything that you will receive in the future. Be grateful. Give more than you receive. Give more than you receive. There is so much unspeakable joy that comes from giving. Think about those times when you gave someone something that was like really unexpected and they were in joy, but man, how you felt. It's a tremendous. Be a giver rather than a taker. Be the hero of your own blockbuster movie. There is a point in every movie, right, when the hero is experiencing some challenge. And that challenge is showing up like there's seemingly no way out. And yet he or she always finds a way to overcome the odds. You are the producer, the director, the actor, and the hero of your own movie. See beyond the veil of our human perceptions and know, don't hope, know that you too can overcome the odds. Remember to always treasure and love yourself. You are the one constant in your life. You deserve really nothing less. Love others. Be grateful for all of the people around you, all of the people in your life, for they really assist you to grow. You know, even the growth that you might not want to be doing with the person that you might not want to be assisting you. But the truth is that they're there for a reason, that it might be a contract that you might have with them, with their soul. And if you thought about it that way, you could get to the place where you could say, thank you for giving me this experience. Thank you for being in my life. Without the people in your life would not be the same. And lastly, love life. It is our greatest gift, our greatest blessing. The Dalai Lama says, I am fortunate to be alive. I have a precious human life. I am not going to waste it. Our little Rose didn't waste hers. She lived it to its fullest. So the invitation today is to stand firmly grounded in a will to live that allows you to live the life that you want to live. A will to live that keeps you firmly grounded in happiness and fulfillment. We have a choice. We get to choose. Choose well. Choose wisely. And so it is. So I just invite us to turn within, to allow ourselves to turn away from the world of form and to turn our attention and intention to the inner side of life, the spiritual side of life, to that still small space within us that is the very spark of the divine. That spark that was imbued within us on the day that we arrived on the planet. I know that I just don't have it. I know that we all do. Everyone within the sound of my voice has this spark. Arrived on the planet, imbued with everything that we need to live the life of our dreams. We can never be separated from this power and presence. It is always there, always ready, willing, and able to fund, feed, fuel, guide, support us. And it is from that place of oneness, that place of unity, that I speak these words about and for each of us today, knowing truly that we are spiritual beings having a human incarnation. That there is a way of living our life powerfully from our deep and abiding connection to all that is, to that power and presence of the divine that is within us and surrounding us. That there is a way of living our lives powerfully from a will to live that cannot be shaken, cannot be faltered. I know that like the lilies of the field, that we are supported, we are guided, and that there is nothing but limitless possibilities to who we are and how we live our lives. And so I claim ease and grace for us around all of the choices that we make. Around choosing to let go of the past and step powerfully into the new. Around being grateful for everything and everyone. About loving ourselves and loving each other. and loving life. About knowing whose and whose we are, and creating our lives from that powerful place. Creating our ideal life in our mind's eye first, in our consciousness. Keeping the what in our consciousness, keeping our mind focused on it, and allowing the universe to take care of the how, knowing that it is a limitless universe, that anything is possible. And I'm so grateful to know this truth and to speak these words. So grateful for the power of prayer, knowing that these words are loosed into a law that only ever says yes. That they are clothed in form even as they are spoken, and so I speak them and I release them with love and gratitude and full expectation of their manifestation, letting go and letting God be God. And I invite each of us to anchor these words for ourselves and for each other simply by saying, and so it is. Amen.